Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian, know nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live or listening to replay. Look forward to connecting with you all, sharing with you all today, moving forward from there. So, definitely excited about this episode. And a lot of people have been wanting this type of episode in a while. They wanted the more raw, the vault, more focused on trustee training, more focused on trustee mindset. So, that's what we aim to do today. You definitely wanted to do a pop up episode. So, this is episode 188, Defacto Trustee. And this is going to talk to the trustees that are in trusteeship, you know, and we're going to make it a point to be able to differentiate, the de facto trustee from maybe the trustee, in fact, uh, and as well talk about trustee mindset accompanied with knowing that there are de facto trustees as opposed to just the trustee. At the Vol, we deal with trustee training. So, really excited about just doing, what we do best, which is trustee training. But this is episode 188, de facto trustee. Why do we need to talk about the de facto trustee? The reason why we need to talk about a de facto trustee is because if you don't have control over the estate, then the de facto trustee has control over the estate. That's pretty obvious. Some people say, well, that's pretty obvious, why wouldn't they have de facto ship over it? But at the end of the day, they do. They have de facto trusteeship over what would be the current public status of affairs. So the way you put yourself in a position where you're not under any type of auspices of a de facto trustee and we are in positions of trusteeship, then we see that we move in a position where there's no de facto trustee. We don't deal with de facto trustees. De facto trustees are ones that can sit in front of people, sell them is there's a saying that goes sell shit that flies. You know, we sit in these meetings all the time. Some of these people, they've never even ran a business. But for some odd reason now they think they can run jurisdictions of people. This is the age we live in. So de facto trusteeship says someone's in a position by de facto status. I really wanted to definitely, make sure that it's not any other type of ill intent. There isn't any ill, but for some odd reason you can see that in the fact that it's a de facto trustee. De facto trustee has made themselves very clear on who they are, what position they make. Some people say, well, is it always clearly identifiable? De facto trusteeship is when you're not on the board, when you're not trusteeship, and making sure, you know, business is being done properly, affairs are being handled properly. De facto trusteeship. So a lot of people say, well, de facto trusteeship, how detrimental is it? Okay. It's detrimental in the respect that the person that can be in power may not be in power, may not be at the board table having input in decisions. So by there always having some level of de facto trusteeship involved, then there's a lack in the fact that you're not sitting at the table making decisions with the other trustees. You know, that's why people always understand the position is so powerful. It's because they want to make sure that they're in the voting room. They want to be in the voting room. This is going to be an imperative episode for so many because so many, they say, oh, I have this number. I'm ready to go on a trust ship. And it's like how does the number justify you being into that? Our mentors grilled us. Our mentors didn't let us come to them and ask them to be in trusteeship. They really didn't allow us to ask. They were telling us to run far and fast. And so when we see de facto trusteeship, they know what de facto trusteeship is. They want to see if you are part of the sheep that's ready for the slaughter. See, the mentors don't believe in de facto trusteeship. There is no de facto trusteeship in their lives. De facto trusteeship is a different way of life. That's it. It's like another form of government. So when we look at the de facto ship and us wondering how does how can it possibly affect, you know, someone, may not have an effect. But if it does have an effect, it's because a person is in a position of state beneficiary position. You're in a position of a state beneficiary. That's not good. Why do you want to be in a position of a state beneficiary? That right there already sounds like you're working for the government. And so we see people that they want to be in those positions. We hear those people in those positions. But really, the focus is not being in a de facto position. De facto ship is kangaroo. It's not coming out your pouch. Ladies and gentlemen, we already know at the vault what just happened in the world. But so many are saying, well, can it be true? Can it really just happen where the economy stop or economy stop? Oh wow, we want to forget that day. So many might want to do that. But the de facto trustees have just passed the stimulus and they're trying to pass more. Now, what position are you in? Are you in a position of public trusteeship or in state beneficiary position? See, so many are saying, well, I want to go private. I want to be in trusteeship, private trustee training. Okay, then that means you're definitely not dealing with the de facto. You're not accepting handouts. This is a moment where the men and the boys are separated. That's what happened. The men and the boys got separated. The boys that have the bigger toys are men. And the ones that don't have toys, the things that protect them, they might not win. This is a moment of your integrity to yourself. Oh no, we're in a de facto state. It's all paperwork. It doesn't mean anything. You know how it is. You know how these people are over the internet. They're over here saying, this doesn't matter, that doesn't matter. Look, it all matters. You take in all data, and when you see the data that is pertinent to control over the family estate, then you see how the public is set up. The public is set up for welfare. And de facto trustees run that. Whereas in the private, you have ample opportunity to just what they say, hold it down. These are the moments that you make it a point to double up on your creativity. This is where your study habits go into overdrive. This is where you took in a lot more sunlight and you turn that sunlight into some real energy for yourself. You're not tired as much anymore because you got more sunlight now. You were able to get more sunlight. Hmm. The de facto trustees. So many people come to the vault and they say, oh, I got this already set up. What can you do for me? Well, that's exactly why you came to the vault. You came to the right place because it's the training, management training, it's trustee training. It's about the training. See, a lot of people think they're going to get out of training. You don't stop training. You just don't. See, some what happens to the strong, they adapt to the loss. The loss was, hey, minimal years. I lost 12 to 18 years of my life going through a public school system, and I probably didn't learn much of anything about finance. Okay, so now that you come out, you're learning specifically finance. You're learning what people have to learn for a securities license. You're learning what lawyers have to learn to make sure that your company's set up right. You say, really? But isn't that like a business degree? Ladies and gentlemen, we sat in front of the business degrees even up until this point, and most of them worked for the gov. They worked for businesses, and where were the MBAs now? We appreciate MBAs in business, but once again, you don't need an MBA to be a de facto trustee either. That's a fact. You don't need to be an MBA to be the de facto, let alone to be the actual one. So, the real ones, see, the real ones can't fall into de facto ship. What's de facto ship? De facto is allowing any part of the life to accept de facto ship. Any part of the life. It's like, really, what do you mean? In any sense. And that's where it really does change the mindset of the trustee, because, the mentors gave us the warning, they gave us the red flags. They would always say, hey, you go down the trustee path, there's no turning back. You're like, sure it's not, sure it's not. And, we know it's not, it isn't. It's not, it's just something that, it's like marriage. Once you jump over the broom, a signatory of, you're over now. You did it. It's the deal is committed. It's consecrated. But when it comes to de facto ship, we know what de facto ship. That's second place. We know that that's air. And so we don't want the hands to be in another man. We want it to be in our hand, because it's our hand that createth. But so many people have let the de facto trustee to implement their strategy, a war strategy. Why wouldn't you implement the war strategy of docileness, of lack of to have apathy? See, the de facto trustee is actually a tool of war. It's a tool. The quasi one too. But we had to go really de facto, because we know there's a lot of de facto flying around out here. Oh, this is de facto. It's not a fact. Ladies and gentlemen, if the paper is, you can use it for different things, such as wiping your butt with $1 or $100, it's still is the same amount of money, but it's using for another purpose. So is it de facto? Because it doesn't have equal value in every sense. It doesn't have a defined statement. No, trusteeship doesn't either. Trusteeship is you flow like the wind. You move forth in a manner in which makes you liquid. That's the benefit of own nothing, control everything. See, the owners, they're the ones getting hit. But what happened to the shareholders? They got hit too. Yep. What about the board members that stepped down before it all got rocking and rolling? Oh, they left the de factos in place. The de facto. So many people came with that argument so many years ago. Oh, this, that, and the third, United States, de facto, blah, blah, blah. Ladies and gentlemen, you've never driven through a line from one state to the next. You've never flew through a line. That's very clear. We're okay with the de facto. Why? Because there, there are these elaborate jurisdictions that people like. They like playing on the Monopoly board. So when you play Monopoly, the de facto game of trusteeship, because Monopoly is a game, ladies and gentlemen, it's a game. Oh man, I can't believe you want it to be a game. No, we're going to make it a game because it is a game. When you have to pay to live your life, it's a game. You had the attached value of dollars to your time, it's a game. We might as well start hitting the buzzer to victory, because there is no defeat. We don't have time to hit the buzzer for backwards. We only have time to hit the buzzer for forward. So the de facto trustees say, we're going to take care of people. There are people in the world. So hear me out, trustees. There are people that want people to take care of them. Those are the de factos. You hear what the name they call them? The de factos. But what about the trustees for them? Why? Because they people have put themselves in state beneficiary positions. State beneficiary positions. And a de facto trustee is there to serve. So now, let's hear what time it is for ourselves, trustees. It's time for you to double down in your education. You didn't want to hear this from the bigger brother. You didn't want to hear this from the brother, possibly. But at the end of the day, you double down in your studies. Your studies are not just the internet fluff and bluff. It's actually investing in the private sector if you're going in the private sector and doubling down. See, one thing we can actually talk about is successful people doubling down in their what would be considered their fault. So it's sort of like when they're making the so-called technology, they go through these moments of great failure. You can see it across the board. There's a lot of great cell phone companies, car companies, they've gone through great failure, but they're successful. They're not de facto. See, de facto is bailed out. Ooh, does everybody pay back their money? The ones that don't beat de facto. We see public. I'm not going to go there today. De facto trustee is the same thing as the quasi. We know we had it listed as the quasi. This is the de facto. A lot of people come from these different movements that they come from to the vault. Oh, we're from the Moorish movement, brother. El Bayday Al Ali. Okay, that's another belief system. And you got the de facto trustees mismanaging what will be considered an estate. See, people, they look at the information, oh, they see, oh, it's kind of cross referencing. So it cross references, and then you see it cross referencing, you're like, but for some odd reason, some of the information that's coming from over there, it's not leading me anywhere but back to them. That's called private. It's proprietary. See, the de facto is a general statement of trends. There's no defined written plan for the trustee and the successor trustee. See, when you get in trustee training, it's successor trustee training. That's what it's all about. You're supposed to be training up the next generation. De facto trustees aren't training people to be in a de facto position. That doesn't work that way. Otherwise, that's called a secret society. Ain't that what they call them? A de facto trustee. So many people want to be trustees, but they don't want to look at the books every day. So many people want to be trustees. They don't want to sign their signature the right way. So many people don't understand the power of their signature. So you got de facto trustees saying, hey, we're going to throw you on the monopoly board. So that means we pushed you on the monopoly board. And now you're going to play. All you need to do is keep running. You'll be the beneficiary. Every time you pass go, you'll get $200. No matter what. De facto trustees set up the monopoly board. That's why they keep changing the rules. See, people try to say, oh, the de facto is not real. Or how is it not? It's just as real as the words were as we're reading it. The trustees that are on their game right now, they're doubling down. They're tripling down. They're putting more into the things that out of these moments, success is begotten. It's what in some successful circles we would call the level up. It's just a level up. And you continue leveling up. And it comes from association, who we're associating with. So we appreciate all the listeners at the Vault, everyone that does tune in live. We definitely open it up for the chat because in this particular episode, we know that there were a lot of people that were wondering about the de facto trusteeship and talking about, just different powers that be. And it's like, look, man, you're talking about de facto ship because you're not in a position of trusteeship. It's just the bottom line. You don't talk about the de facto when you already know what position you're in as a trustee. It's just that simple. You're not thinking about that. It's interesting because even some of the senior trustees will share this. This is an easy pill to swallow, but we know it's a hard one. The senior trustees don't watch the news. It's like, oh man, no way. What about my wife, man? She watches the news. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We already know what the news is. When you have credible sources saying that things are not credible or credible, then we know how to move. And second of all, senior trustees know what's going on before the news ever comes out. They don't need to think about the news. They're trustees. They don't care about that. They care about actually performing for the mandate, as they would call it. Some of the senior trustees in senior circles would talk about mandates. So when we hear people talk about, oh, well, I'm in position of trusteeship. I got this UCC, man, and we got this, since it's not real, we got this UCC and we're trying to monetize it. Why don't you study securities law? How come no one's told you that? As a trustee, if you know securities, then you know, okay, I got to see that this is a security instrument and go give it to a securities license agent so they can put it out on the market so they can sell it for me. But oh no, no one gave me that education. They just told me my name was worth $11 billion. So now I'm going to go out and use it as an option. Sure you are. If you actually were that smart to put your name as an option on the market and actually get it listed, I mean, that would be an incredible feat. But first of all, most lay or most men are not going to go through the arduous task of getting the actual name put into a position where it's a derivative to where they can actually get it listed as an option. But no, no, no. No one wants to go through that process of, oh man, I'm just trying to get my name. I'm going to monetize my name. I ain't going to let the government monetize my name. What you mean you're not going to let them monetize your name? You're monetizing your name every time you sign for the name. Otherwise, the name isn't doing anything. How's the name doing something if you're not doing anything? So then we get back into this conversation of, oh, the name's already been used on the private market and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now that you know all these things about de facto trusteeship, somebody's, thief in the night, the name. Here we go. Someone thiefed in the night, the name. Okay, they're selling it on the black market supposedly, or on this private market. Okay, what did you do for your first in time, first in line? We asked them that question. They're scribbling, squabbling. They're shucking and jiving. They're doing every type of famous move you could think of. We asked them a simple question. So then, not only that, did they make the claim? See, people that are spiritual people know, oh man, I can't be in commerce. You're not. So now that you know it's business, not personal, then we can act accordingly. But the de facto trustees got people thinking, oh man, that's my name. Well, people have nicknames. But do they use that as their business name? No. So that already shows it's called a signature. You sign out of nature. It's a signature. It's a sign. It's a claim in the public of who you are. That's why when you see a lot of famous people, they try to record their signatures. See, everybody knows, well, trustee, man, that's a powerful position. That's the most powerful position to be in. So why would you allow a de facto to be in position in your life? So the trustees and that go through trustee training, families, they know that. They're aware of that. They're okay with allowing what's Caesar's to be Caesar's. Own nothing, control everything. See, it may be a self-fulfilling prophecy for some, maybe not for everybody. See, a lot of trustees, a lot of their questions would be answered. The ones specifically that went through trustee training, a lot of their questions would be answered if they doubled down on their dictionary right now. went through, created flashcards, went through on their dictionary, that would really help out right now. um, Going back, reading over the cases that they've already read, the main 5 to 10 cases that they read for the past year, two, or three. They go back 4 years, however long they've been in trustee training through the vault. But nevertheless, they go back, they double down on those cases. They say, okay, I needed to know why the winner was winning because a de facto trustee shows me how losers lose. You hear that? See, that's what the de facto trustee shares. But the de facto trustee, they're not showing the winners that win. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in that position because they're de facto. They're there by default. So, how are we going to air this out now? It comes down to being in a position of power. And that position of power comes from owning enough to control everything. Not only that, it's about business, it's not personal. Why do you think politicians wear business suits? It's not a coincidence. It looks like a nice piece of garment, nevertheless, it's one of the better looking garments on the human body. So, you got the suits and the talent. The talent usually falls in state beneficiary status. Sometimes they can move the de facto trustee out and then they're the trustee of the family estate. But the reason why we did this episode was to let you all know if you're not in control of the family estate, the de facto trustee is. It's not a question. Do you need to go private? It's a question of how much longer are you going to allow the de facto trustee to be in control of the family estate? Because that's what's going on right now. You're like, man, I got to deal with all these rules and regulations. Hoo ha ha. Man, it's so many grown adults that are talking like that. It's just like, look, ladies and gentlemen, it's business, not personal. See, ladies and gentlemen don't want to know the truth. See, when you come into private, you got to learn the truth. You get to hang out with the Donalds in the private. Oh no, I couldn't hang out with that guy. And that's why you're going to stay in the position you're in. But when you hang out with billionaires, it's probably likely that there's going to be other billionaires around. Oh man, it can't be that many congregating at one time together. For there be a rhyme, there's a reason. You know what I mean? There's always a devil's advocate thought. So we provide that at the vote. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things. That's who's in position. The de facto. It's not. Oh man. Well, I gotta get. Do I have to get my hands dirty? Look at the family estate right now, and then you say, "Wow, my mom and dad didn't do anything." Possibly. Uh, if you're talking from those positions. So we're talking from the barrage that we know of people that come from different backgrounds that listen to the vote, that their families did not have a family estate in place, and now we get to, oh wow, let's get to whether there's some entity outside of their families now in place of family estate planning, trusteeship over the family. Maybe, why not? Why not, ladies and gentlemen? Think about it. Have you been taught trusteeship? No, you've been taught ownership. People have been taught ownership in the public. But the de facto trustees are taught something different. Why? Because they're the trustees of the de facto, which you know is de facto. So then we get into, okay, well, we're a trustee. What are we really a trustee of? Hmm, what are you a trustee of? It's interesting because we have so many tools, but one thing we can say is that over at the Vault, we did our best to provide as trustees for the successors, anyone that can step in line, continue the Vault's message, and say, look, trustee management is the key. Management is how you go from one generation to the next. One generation is passing down laws, rules, and regulations to the next generation so they don't have to repeat the same mistakes. So when you share what the mistakes are, they at least know, okay, they're more apprehensive to do the faint thought or the bad thought than for somebody to say, hey, let me just go down the years of yonder to find out that, oh wow, well man, now I found out that this is true or that is true. Well, in all actuality, a lot of information is very basic, especially when it comes to generating wealth and capital. They're X's and O's just like a sports game. They're X's and O's. Oh man, I wasn't trained into the X's and O's and that. Well, we're understanding of that because we understand that if you're born in particular jurisdictions, you're given a certain education. So de facto ship is already in play. If you're put in the public trusteeship position from the beginning of your life, then you already see, so you're already a state beneficiary. Why? Because your parents dropped you off in a state school, and now you see what de facto trustees do to state beneficiaries. That's what you see. So we appreciate the trustees in training, the trustees that have gone through the training, and we wanted to share some equity and value today because it's all about bringing the best your way, and that's what we felt like we intended to do, and we achieved today. So just want to continue and continue with the best of the best. It's just the bottom line. So we see people in the chat. Definitely appreciate you all for tuning in live or listening to replay. And you all can go about your day and enjoy the rest of it.